Yes, and welcome back to a brand new episode of SPUD Quickies. I'm Maniacal Mac, and as I always say in these episodes, just run through a load of films just because they're ones I've already seen, all the boys have seen, so we won't do them on the SPUD episodes. So hopefully there's some films you might come across you never seen of, or if there are films you've seen yourself, comment below. Tell me if you think I'm right about giving them the old SPUD or the DUD, or what you thought on them. Also, check out my Rumble account, because a few videos have been blocked on YouTube, unfortunately, but if you check Rumble, they're all on there. So if you're enjoying the DUD or SPUDs, plenty more on there. So we'll get right into this one. One of my favourites from when I was quite young, and still quite enjoy this one now, came out in 93 called Body Bags. It's like three films in one. It's also got like a roundup story as well. And it's actually got John Carpenter who plays a mortician. He's so funny in this. I wish he did more like film roles. But like his character's a mortician, just like the guy telling the stories. Amazing. I'd love to see him as a film alone. But yeah, these are really fun films, I thought. Like, nothing over the top gory compared to a lot of the stuff I cover and that. Quite fun film. Anyone can watch them, really. But yeah, the three stories. Well, one lady, I believe, is the lady in Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I believe. So she's like a petrol station attendant. She's working a night shift. I think she just started. So the gentleman there is just quickly showing her the ropes, saying, it's usually quite quiet anyway. Any issues, blah, blah, blah. Here's some stuff, little red herrings for stuff to go on. Get on with it. We have a load of cameos of people. You have like Wes Craven, Sam Raimi. They came up there, like some of them are kind of weird characters coming up to the booth. Some are just all right, little spook scares. But then, yeah, basically, like she gives a toilet key to someone, and it all kind of kicks off from there. Then there's like a murderer there, and he's killing people, and then he's coming after her again. Because there's only three stories in this one film. They're quite short each. But yeah, it's quite cool. Won't give it away and say what happens in there. Nothing over the top. Not like the most scariest thing you'll see. It's quite goofy and this pretty self-aware. A lot of it, this is quite fun vibes. Being 1993 in it, you know what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, really fun first story. The second story is with Stacy Keach, which is just the silliest one of it. He's like losing his hair, so he goes to like a hair transplant, but then the hair ends up like completely taking over him and stuff. And it's really, really, really silly. The hair, like little follicles, are going around doing their thing. It's basically a comedy, that one, and Stacy Keach knew it, so he plays up to it. So it worked. If you tried to do our series, it wouldn't have worked, but I thought it was funny. Probably the weakest story out of the three in them, but yeah, the more I watched it, I appreciated it more. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, I used to skip it and just go to the third one. Which on that note, it's got Mark Hamilton. Yeah, believe it or not, he's a baseball player, professional baseball player, gets into a car accident, glass goes in his eye, so he has to have a new eye put in. Turns out it's like an eye of serial killer, so then he starts having these visions of all these murders and he starts going mad, and the serial killer kind of starts taking over him. And Twiggy, remember the singer Twiggy? She's his like wife in it, and he's trying to kill her in it. So a lot of it is just them two pretty much in it. But yeah, that was a pretty good one. Mark Hamilton is like a serial killer psychopath. Can't go wrong on that. He does it surprisingly alright, really like. But yeah, Body Bags, gets a spud. Would recommend it. Not an amazing film, but yeah, certainly good fun. So the next one we're going to talk about, this is like the franchising, so I'm going to lump them all in one. The original came out in 1990. It was a TV miniseries. I originally thought this was just a long ass film, but when I had it on VHS, they just chuck them both in at once, and it's just pretty much one long film. Pennywise the Clown. Pretty much you all would really know about this. Yeah, Tim Curry just plays the clown fucking crazy, doesn't he? Like, it's funny, but as a kid, I was actually genuinely like quite freaked out about this. But when you watch it a bit older, you're like, whatever, it's not as bad. The first segment, like, all is like when all the characters are young, pretty much all of them. Yeah, it's like all set. They've even got a young Seth Green in there and stuff. 1990s, so you know what you're getting with that kind of thing. The kids did okay, to be honest. But then it goes like, they end up coming across Pennywise. I think the more creepier moments are with the kids when he's like stalking them and playing up with them and all sorts of mad shit's going on there. And then like the second part, basically, like, they do think they defeat Pennywise. So all these years later, they've all grown up, gone away. Some of them moved away. They all end up having a big reunion. And then they find out Pennywise is not gone, and they got to come back to, get him again later. So yeah, it was really cool. It it is a bit dated, showing its time, to be honest. But for 1990 film, it's a classic for a reason. Again, Tim Curry really, really made it what it was, to be honest with you. He's so funny, but then when he wants to be creepier now, he switched like that really well. So it gets the Spud from 1990. So talking of it, then in 2017, geez, so a long time after now, isn't it? They decide to do a remake of this. So rather than like a mini series, kind of like I thought the original film, they did a part 1 and a part 2, but then, you know, like part 1 is like 2 hours 15 and part 2 is like 2 hours 49, so it's a lot longer altogether, these films. Vibe filmed really well. The acting for the kids, I thought I'll give them that. My problem, so I'm just going to lump both of these in here because I had the exact same problem with the second ones I did in the first one. They didn't improve on it. Pennywise himself, the guy who plays it, everyone's bigging him up. He was awful. He was awful. I don't know why they picked him. There's so many actors they could have picked. How they thought he was a good idea. Because like the original one, I did say he's a bit goofy, bit funny. But on this one, he tried to go with a very serious vibe, you know, very dark. And then he's just like, overly goofy, like overly. It just don't work. I just found him annoying and obnoxious, not in the slightest bit scary. And then the CGI didn't help in this one, to be honest. It made it look out of place and just kind of shit, to be honest with you. Like, so I won't really say much more because, like, you know, they were filmed close back to back. Similar thing, you know, the first one's got the young kids, the second one's got the adults. I don't remember too much of it, to be honest with you. I kind of blanked out my memory because it was like, no, whatever. So I won't say too much more about this. It chapter 1 and 2 let down, so I love the originals and I was looking forward to these, but these get a massive dud just because how bad of a letdown they were, and I don't know what they were thinking. Don't know. So next one came out in 1983. Absolute classic, this one. David Cronenberg movie, Videodrome. Got James Woods in it. Really, really like James Woods. I reckon he's a great actor. Kind of hard to explain this one. Some like TV programmer, he's like into like mad fucking like, you know, sexual and like violent fucking stuff. And he comes across this TV program where it's like women just seducing him on it, and I don't know, it's like tripping him out, and then he's getting really obsessed about it, and then he starts hallucinating about stuff, trying to find out about who made the film, if I remember right, or who the programmers are, and then he has these mad hallucinations going on, and you know, then it gets so extreme, you're kind of going on, is this real, is this not? So you are a bit like that. So it's a hard one to describe, really. Some kind of gory moments that come into it, like, you know, a lot of body horror in there as well and stuff. So all I can say is, long live the new flesh, and for sure, give Videodrome a spud, for sure. Like, I know I'm not speaking too much about it because it's kind of hard. Just go and watch it. That's all I can say. Next one. So David Cronenberg, 2022, it came out this year. So, you know, he hadn't done nothing for a while. We were all looking forward to this one, Crimes of the Future. What do I say about this one? Some cool visuals. That's about all I can give it, really. Very boring film. So there's like a couple basically, and they're like performance people. And I think the husband Viggo Mortensen, I can't remember, he's come down with these like kind of always like in his sack thing recovering. But basically, what goes wrong is just like they do a show and he just gets cut open and like get his organs taken out and stuff put back in. Very weird. There's obviously deeper meanings to it and stuff. Just boring. Yeah, it was kind of shit. I was like, oh, on David Cronenberg one, I'll give it a watch. And I did. I just watched it. I was just like, man, I know I don't usually get David Cronenberg films, but at least I enjoyed him. This one I didn't. The one thing I'll give is the main actress alongside Viggo Mortensen gets her tits out and they're pretty good. You know, but very good for my call. But yeah, unfortunately, Crimes of the Future, you get a dud. It was just a long time in the waiting. You know, it's not even a case of like, oh, I didn't get it. Because like I said, I don't get a lot of his films, but at least I enjoyed them. Just boring. Some right scenes, but far too little in between. Next one, so on the spree of a lot of 2022, weren't we? Day Shift. So Jamie Foxx vampire film. It's got Dave Franco in there. Got an amazing scene, not in there long enough. Scott Atkins. Wish he was in the film a lot more. But yeah, this really took me by surprise. You know, I didn't really know. I was like, oh, vampire film in 2022. Like, you know what I mean? This is a bit mad. So, you know, I can say there's loads of vampire films it reminds me of in a way, but it does do its own thing. It really does. It's funny. It was just dumb fun. It reminded me of kind of like John Carpenter's vampires, just like it was zany in points, but pretty fucking brutal when it wanted to be. The opening scene of this is great. Fucking Jamie Foxx is like wrestling an old woman, but like smashing her head through tables as her neck snaps. She's coming all back, and he's not hesitating fucking her up, and she's not hesitating fucking him up. But yeah, the opening scene's hilarious. Just the way, like, you know, he's sneaking into like a house. Like, this ain't giving much away. It's the opening scene, sneaking into an house, like, or whatever. And then he gets caught by an old lady, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He just gets a pillow and just shoots like that. And you're like, "What the fuck?" And she goes boom, flying into like the shower, and you're like, "What? What the hell?" And then you're like, "No way, it's fucking that's a human," because like Jamie Foxx wouldn't do that surely. And then she just goes, turns up, and then he's just having this huge ruckus, destroying a place of her. But yeah, James Franco gets involved because he ends up working for this like agency and needs to get money back to, I think it's for like the operation for his mum or someone like that. So James Franco gets involved and he's got to keep an eye on him and saying if he misbehaves, just gives an excuse to get him sacked, but he needs to get the money, so he's trying to get James Franco on his side. So they work pretty well together in this overall. But yeah, really fun film. Day shift, that's the SPUD. I would say if you got some time to kill, just want to have like, you know, just a dumb action / horror film, you can't really go wrong. Good fun, I thought. Next one, funny enough, I watched this yesterday. I thought I'd seen this film a long time ago, but after seeing it yesterday, I was like, nah, I just seen a trailer, never seen it. So this came out 2020, so another quite new one. Starring Vince Vaughn, called Freaky. Really thought it was a funny concept at first. It's been done before, but you know, it was pretty cool. It was like Vince Vaughn's like the serial killer guy. The opening scene is really cool actually. It's like it says Wednesday the 13th, and then it's counting down to Friday. Wednesday the 11th. Then it's counting down to Friday the 13th as the film goes on. But like opens up with like and you're like, oh, they're watching a film of a parody of Friday the 13th, but no. Vince Vaughn is the fucking wood mask killer when he takes off and he's like killing these people fucking pretty brutally. You're like, oh shit, okay, fucking wicked. Like starting off pretty fucking well. So then basically he ends up stalking this like girl who's our main character. Cut a long story short, when he's chasing her, he's about to stab her with his sacrificial dagger that he steals right at the beginning. It's a bit like a Chucky thing then, in a way that, like his soul goes into her body, but then her soul goes into his body. So then Vince Vaughn for the whole film is basically her, and he's like, "Oh my god, no!" Like, and then he convinces her best friends, "Look, it's me," and all this sort of stuff. So there's some funny moments in there, but it kind of like the joke died out soon for me. Like, you know, it was like quarter way through the film, I was like, oh, "Okay, shit, man, I hope like there is another twist or change to this film." But no, there was some right moments, but overall, it was just kind of like, "Shit, man, this is dying out for me," and not much gore horror film scenes in this, more of a comedy kind of esque thing, like, you know what I mean? For a high budget thing, it's like, nah, you should have chucked loads more action scenes in there, loads more of killing scenes. They were too few in between. So those moments I enjoyed out of this, overall I didn't. So I'd give Freaky a dud. The idea of it was cool, just one of them ones that won't last long. So another film from 2022, geez, like this episode, basically the 2022 special, innit? Watched this the other day called The Lair. Yeah, very old school kind of concept and feel into it. Lady's an Air Force pilot. She gets shot down in Afghanistan. She ends up like kind of looking for cover because she's getting like sabotaged by some Afghanistan troops. So she ends up going to this like kind of bunker, and when she goes down there, she finds out like Russian people, like Russian would be there previously doing experiments, and they like made like, you know, monsters, like they spent on people to turn them into like monsters, or they do go on about like it was an alien thing there, and that's why the Russian people took it over. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Like it's got like an old school concept, and they end up going down in this bunker, and then, you know, as you imagine, people again fucking killed like with these fucking alien things. Yeah, not a bad film. I won't say much about it really. If you enjoy them kind of films, not the best, certainly not the worst I've seen. But yeah, I'll give it a spud because I enjoyed it for what it was. Don't think it deserves a dud. Think it was pretty fun. So next one, 2022. Nicolas Cage, huge Nicolas Cage fan. And also, Tony Jaa was in this film, so I was like, yeah, gotta be done. Jiu Jitsu, right? Oh man, what happened here? Tony Jaa and Nicolas Cage in a film. Look at my reaction. So, Nicolas Cage's character, like a lot of people didn't like him in it, but I did. I like Nicolas Cage in most stuff, even the stuff he's pretty shit in. I still like him as Nicolas Cage. But I quite liked him in this, hardly in it. Tony Jaa, just not really the main character, and he don't really do that much either from what I recall. He was just really fucking shit, and they do Nick Cage really dirty in this film. Don't really know what went on here, whether it was one of them purposely made bad films to do a whole fucking tax thing or whatever that works. But yeah, really disappointing film. I was looking forward to this. The CGI is pretty shit. Some alien things like hunting them down and that, like, and yeah, it was just kind of shit, really, to be honest. Sounds like it's got a great concept. It was just delivered terribly, terribly. Dud. What a shame. Nicolas Cage and Tony Jaa. I'm saying dud. Next one came out in 96, kind of a family-friendly film. This one called Kazaam with Shanique O'Neill. So this is what a lot of people like got confused with how weird thinking about where Sinbad, they were like, oh, there was that film you did, Shazam. And people were convinced Sinbad was in this film called Shazam, and then, you know, he was like, it never happened. There was a whole some Mandela effect shit. No, people's got it confused. This film, Kazam, you know what I mean? It's got Shanique O'Neill, because even the way that people remember the cover is Shanique O'Neill on it, except the genie hat, and Shanique O'Neill's a genie in this. So yeah, he's a genie, some kid who was been in quite a few of the 90 films around the time. I can't fully remember his name in this. You know, it's a family-friendly film. Shanique does what he does. He tries to be funny, and I do like Shanique O'Neill, to be honest. I think he's quite a funny guy. You don't take things seriously. So, you know, Shaq, innit? He's a good laugh. Like, you know what I mean? He can have fun at himself and stuff. But yeah, I know it's a kid's film, and it's supposed to be silly and that, but it was just kind of a bit like, a lot of the jokes fell flat. It was a bit, oh man, like, just why? There was one or two funny moments in there, I guess. But even as a kid, like, I do remember watching this quite young and being like, meh. And I don't think I ever watched it again. So I used to be obsessed with rewatching stuff I loved as a kid. So unfortunately, I get a dud. I do like you, Shaq, buddy, but nah. So ending off this episode with an absolute banger. Came out 1982 called Xtro. Where do I start with this one? Like, an alien creature basically comes down, like, impregnates a woman. Not willingly, may I add, you know. And then she gives birth to a guy who had disappeared like 3 years ago. And then he like reconnects with his family, and she's moved on. She's all in shock, but he's not acting the same. You know, he's kind of been up with aliens and being probed and somehow repregnated. And I don't know, it's fucking nuts. But you think, oh, your typical alien thing. No, there's loads of fucking weird shit going on here. There's like a clown at points turning up, I remember. And you're like, what? There's a full-size man who's like a toy, like just walking around with a gun and stuff. Why these things happen is hard to explain. It's not by any way, in any way, your typical alien film, your typical horror film in any way. So I love that, because I like came out in 1982. I was like, oh, be predictable. There's going to be loads of tropes there. Nope, never seen nothing like this. Still haven't till this day. Absolutely crazy. It's hard for me to even go into it to explain. I've kind of given you the idea of it. It's just loads of crazy shit happens during. They have done a 2 and a 3, which I'm going to actually rewatch again sometime soon, just because I don't remember them. Otherwise I would have lumped them in this one, but I don't really remember them enough, so I'm down the line probably watch them and do them separately. But Xtro, 100% get the SPUD. It's a fucking great film. But yeah, I won't say no more. This has been DUD or SPUD Quickies episode 11. I've been Maniacal Mac. Thank you for joining as always. And sub up if you haven't already to be kept up to date with new stuff we drop. All the best. Peace.
Maniacal Mac.